Then came the most terrifying part of the entire trip, the drive down. What I thought was going to be the very last ride of my night, a simple 20-minute ride on the way home, turned into a 90-minute ordeal that was probably the riskiest thing I ever did as an Uber driver. Like I said, it was midnight in the middle of winter in upstate New York, not like here in Arizona. I was heading home exhausted after about 10 hours of straight Uber driving. And then suddenly my phone pings. It was Uber. It was a short ride. So I thought, why not make some money? So I accepted the ride. However, as soon as I accepted the ride, my Uber passenger started texting me. And that always makes me question whether or not I should have taken this trip. There was clearly a problem, and honestly, I just didn't want to get caught up in it. But money talks. So when I arrived at the ER, this guy hobbles out of the ER without a jacket, and he was clearly in pain. Honestly, at first, I thought he was drunk. But as he climbed into the car, he told me a story. Hey, how are you?
What a day.
Wow, I'm so sorry, man.
Listen, so I fell down in my driveway on the ice.
So what had happened was they'd slipped down his driveway. It was steep and icy in the morning, and he really hurt his back. But thankfully, his neighbor found him lying on the ice and called an ambulance. However, despite his warnings of the ice, the ambulance tried to go down his steep driveway, and of course it slid all the way down, narrowly missing him at the bottom of the hill and crashing into a tree, injuring a paramedic. So they had to call for a second ambulance that took another 2 hours. Eventually, though, he made it to the hospital. And after a long stay in the hospital, there wasn't much more the doctors can do for his pain. So they stopped giving him pain meds and told him just to go home. So he ordered an Uber. Enter me, Levi, the Uber driver. So as we drove to his house, he warned me about his house, specifically this steep slope. He said his house was at the top of a ski slope. I don't know. I couldn't picture that, but I went ahead and pressed on. Honestly, I'm a professional Uber driver. There's been so many times my Uber passengers have told me, hey, watch out, my driveway, whatever. I knew I could handle it, no matter how bad the snow I thought. But as we drove further into the country, the snow got worse. Late at night, the roads just aren't getting plowed, especially out in the country. He offered for me to drop him off at the hotel in the village where he lives. I said, no worries, I'll take you all the way home. It's what I do for a living. I got you. And then, of course, there is this fork in the road, a point of no return. If I chose left, we could head into the village where the hotel was, and he'd be happy. But if I chose right, we'd head up this winding road to the top of the ski slope where his house was. And of course, I chose right. Going up this hill was treacherous. It's a 2-mile journey that lasted 20 minutes. Every second was filled with anxiety as, we were avoiding ditches, hidden with fresh snow. There were steep drops on either side sometimes. I don't know. It was dark. I could barely see anything. And we went slowly up this hill. When we finally reached his house, he thanked me. He said he was going to tip me in the app. He stepped out, and then instead of going down his driveway, he just walked off into the woods. He vanished like a ghost. It was super weird. So I turned around, and then came the most terrifying part of the entire trip, the drive down. See, if you drive a car in the snow, you know what I mean. Going uphill in the snow isn't too bad because you can wiggle your way up kind of thing. But going downhill, it's terrifying. And it took me 45 minutes to go down the same hill that I'd come up. My brakes were useless because if I tapped on the brakes too hard, the car would slide into a ditch. I couldn't accelerate. I was going like 1, 2, 3, 4 miles an hour at the most. One wrong turn, one not so sensitive touch of any one of the pedals, I would be off into a ditch, off a cliff. It was dark, freezing, snowing sideways. I would have died. Thankfully, I eventually made it safely down the hill. What should have been, like I say, a 20-minute easy fare on my way home turned into this horrible 90-minute life-threatening adventure. And yes, he did tip me, but I'll never forget this lesson. I should have called it quits when I had a chance to call it quits, and the power of Mother Nature.